here this evening from different parts of his career and his life to be here. And but he'd also be really proud of his children, but also seeing the young people we just heard from Stockport and explain the work that they've done, and I think that's going to continue into the future because of him. And continuing into the future, bringing together the things which are particularly important in his life, which are about history, about education, but opportunities for young people, about the First World War as well, and his love in particular for that particular period of history, and that history and learning should be allowed to come alive for young people, as we've just been hearing. I think we all know from our own lives the way in which school trips and school visits can bring history and learning alive and make it inspirational and memorable for young people as part of their learning. I know from my work travelling around the country the impact that a school trip, a school visit can have, and it's different for children at different ages. You go and talk to primary school children in years 4, 5 and 6 about school trips, and you say, what's the most special thing about going on a school trip? They'll almost certainly say the idea that you can get your own packed lunch and take it on a bus. And if you start children talking about what was in their packed lunch, then that can be the most exciting. I would say the most memorable school trip I remember, actually for bad reasons, was a school trip when I was in primary school in what we then called third year junior, year 5 it's now called, to Newark, where my mum made me a packed lunch, but she unfortunately got the 2 boxes mixed up and put my packed lunch in the fridge and packed into my bag the cheese box, which meant Newark Council had a choice of Edam, double crust or cheddar, but luckily I had good friends to share. But we've also, I think, just heard from Jack, from Hannah, from Bradley, the way in which in secondary school in particular, a school trip can bring learning alive and can make people understand about history, but also about, in a very practical way, the way in which people's lives in the past were affected by events sometimes outside their control, which ended up shaping their lives and those of their friends and their colleagues and their towns and their villages and often whole communities for generations to come. And when you have those experiences there and then, you never forget that, you never forget those experiences. And I think Gareth would be really, really proud that his trust in his name was opening up those opportunities for many more young people in our country. It's really great that the trust, as you've already heard, is already working with us in our department, because we're using the expertise that they're already putting together to help us in our manifesto for schools, to make it possible for more schools to go and do trips abroad and also in England for study reasons. And if you have to wipe away some of those fears about health and safety, which sometimes get in the way, and just take the school, yes, you can go and do a visit and it will be okay, and that's the way in which it should be. And the work you're doing on that policy work is really important, but the work you're planning to do to open up opportunities to young people, and to young people for whom sometimes the possibility of a trip might be in the balance because of income and means and understanding of the school and the support they've got. So we get those barriers out of the way and allow it to happen. This is a real vision and a passion of Jessica's, of Gareth's, which is going to be taken forward now through the Trust. I know you're going to start with visits to the battlefield, so that's the beginning. And you'd like to open up many more opportunities which go even wider than that in the years to come. And it's really important for us to remember that there will be many young people who will go in the next 1, 2, 3 years to the battlefields for whom this is their first ever trip abroad, their first ever trip over the sea, the first time they've ever used a passport. For many young people, the first time they've ever come south of Watford. And it will be an experience and an opportunity which will stay with them for the rest of their lives. I can absolutely guarantee that will be the case. And what we hope is it will also spark a sense of excitement about history and learning with some of those young people, which will then stay with them through the rest of their lives. Gareth was a man who was passionate about education, he was passionate about history and learning, but most importantly he was passionate about opening up opportunity for young people, about tackling social justice and promoting social justice by opening up new opportunities what this trust will do is make sure that his values, his passions and his commitment will live on in this generation and the next. And our department will work with the trust to make sure that happens, so that his memory, his values and his commitment lives on into the future.
Thank you very much indeed. There's one thing that remains, which is a reminder from me that all these fine words, from Etwalls, from Stockport, courtesy of our young historians, from Tony, from Tristram, from Jess, really mean nothing unless this mission, as you called it, Ed, has some fuel. The fuel comes from these documents here, which you'll find. For those of you who don't have a bulging wallet or a checkbook, silly people have left it behind, will find that there's a way of giving to the trust on the back, and there's an envelope there which is addressed. You don't have to find out an address, and it's hugely important that the passion that we've heard tonight, the simplicity and brilliance of this idea is given a good start. That's where the ballot boxes, which I mentioned, a Gareth touch, come in. They're there to receive, holding money, checks, but also they're a symbol of what will go on. You could indicate here that you want to give, you can give in the envelope, but you could also fill in contact details and keep in touch. Because I think all of us who are here want to treasure Gareth's memory, his enthusiasm, his passions, which were for, as the Secretary of State has said, social justice, discovery, the excitement of learning. And there is a simple way to do that, which is to make sure that these fine words don't waste the sweetness of the desert air, and are transferred into something real and lasting, which will give young people at schools where they might not otherwise get the chance